Oui, oui, bonjour. Les fishy soirs. Les fishy soirs. Oui, oui, baguette. For the girls and the gays watching. Yeah, you. What you ducking for? I just want all of you to know that all those slang words that you see on the internet, all that yelling, yes, all that mother realness, throwing shade, voguing, reading, calling people legendary. Well, guess what? I'm about to take you into the world where all of that came from in the documentary that captured that world. So pull up a chair, grab a drink, find a comfortable pose, and get ready to get your life. Cause we about to talk about some real shit. In 1980s New York, under the weight of Reaganomics, racism, and an ongoing AIDS virus, queer, black, and brown folks weren't just trying to survive. They were serving on a silver platter. Paris is Burning is a 1990 American documentary directed by filmmaker Jenny Livingston, who spent 6 years making this film. Like, goddamn, somebody give my girl a budget and a distribution. It all started when she was in Washington Square Park taking pictures, and she captured these two brothers who were voguing, right? I'm not doing that in this video. I can't do that, okay? I don't know how to vogue. But yeah, they were voguing and they were using all these slang terms she never heard of. So I guess they invited her to a ball and she went to the, it was called like the Gay Community Center on like 13th Street or something. And suffice to say, it just opened up a whole world for Miss Jenny, right? Yeah. So she had 75 hours of footage and somehow cut it all down to 78 minutes. There's also almost 2 hours worth of outtakes that you can watch on YouTube as well as the film itself. This is my favorite documentary ever. I saw it when, I don't know, I was probably 19, and it was on Netflix, back when it was on Netflix, right? Y'all remember that? I find it extremely rewatchable, and it might have been the first minute, if not the first minute, the first couple minutes. I knew. Dirty New York streets, ethnics, community. The film had opened with this quote from this guy who was walking down the street with the homies. I guess they were on their way to a ball. They probably were. And he said, "I remember my dad used to say, you have 3 strikes against you in this world. Every black man has 2, that they're just black and they're a male. But you're black and you're a male and you're gay. You're gonna have a hard time. So if you're gonna do this, you're gonna have to be stronger than you ever imagined." I was like, wait, I feel seen right now. If you watch RuPaul's Drag Race, Ru is constantly quoting lines from this film, and one of the challenges where the queens read each other is a direct inspiration.
In the great tradition of Paris is Burning, get out your library cards.
And the TV show Pose is another one. The entire setting and some characters have storylines aligning with the fates of the people we meet here. Madonna's Vogue was released 6 months before Jenny got to release this documentary, and while I will give Madonna the title of catapulting voguing into the mainstream, what I do not like is people saying that she invented it because she made a popular song about it. What? I'm sure I'll bring it up again, but just another case of black and brown people creating shit and white people snatching it. But anyway. There are about 6 to 8 people, I would probably say, who are recurring and actively being interviewed in this short documentary. Oh, by the way, if I didn't say it, this film is very, very short. But like I said, she had 75 hours of footage and she cut out a lot. But the final cut is around 1 hour and 17 minutes, I think. Some of the people we stick with are drag performers, some are trans, some are just performers. The first queen we meet is Pepper LaBeija, who's having an entrance in this puffy gold gown at the beginning.
Learn it and learn it well. I am Pepper LaBeija, the legendary mother of the House of LaBeija.
She's not the founder, Crystal LaBeija is, but Pepper rules it now. She's so funny. After she says this, she's like, 2 decades of reigning, and the most grand prizes in the ball culture to date. All while like looking, I guess she had all the trophies behind the camera somewhere. Pepper briefly talks about how she always admired the way rich people lived and how it always felt like a slap in the face that she didn't get to have that life and they could. She never felt comfortable being poor, or even middle class doesn't suit her. She always felt cheated. And that slips into the big why with this world and why everybody takes part in these balls. I'll go a little bit more into it. Pepper's mother knew about all the trophies in her room, but she told Mama that they were all for basketball. Though Pepper did have a trophy or 2 for running track, but nevertheless. One evening walking up to 145th Street with the homegirls, white hot pants, a chiffon blouse, and the ponytail, you know, the whole gig, the whole mug, right? Pepper's father was waiting in his car and he recognized her. That joker went straight to the house, told Pepper's mother, he said, "Your son is a woman." She talks about how her mother didn't really press it until a few months later when she noticed Pepper had breasts and everything just really started coming together. And she still loved her son, mind you, but it was like, God, it was just the nagging. Man, what? She even found all of Pepper's female clothes in the closet and took the what did she say? She said she took the mink coat out in the backyard and burnt it up. Burnt the mink coat.
I was so devastated.
We're introduced to Kim sewing on a machine, very soft voice, angelic. She talks a bit about the rush, the cheering and the screaming of the crowd being fuel, and the magic of getting sucked into that world. Liking the competition. It makes her stronger, makes you want to come back and get them. But it's not just the winning, it's the giving. She feels she gives the crowd a lot of enjoyment. They enjoy to see it, and she enjoys to walk for them. So Freddie is Kim's partner, protege support, basically. There to iron so she doesn't go out there looking like a mess, moral support, you know. He's not a star, but he is a recurring character. Definitely the wisest person in the film and who's got a lot of memorable quotes. Half of Dorian's screen time in the final cut is her doing her makeup in the mirror. She speaks of how her and Pepper are like Liz Taylor, but it's a much smaller world. Obviously, nobody's gonna run up to Pepper or Dorian, ask them for an interview, but it's a small game and you absorb it and you take it. The applause and the cheering are a physical high, an addictive high, but a high that won't hurt you.
If everybody went to balls and did less drugs, it'd be a fun world, wouldn't it?
The balls and the shows are her profession. She gives a little insight into the original balls, which were way more extravagant. She was out here using snakes as props, and she puts one of her old tapes on at one point, and we get a glimpse of these extremely bold and theatrical 1800 types of outfits. A 22-year-old Venus is the baby of the film. She talks about her desires of wanting to be a spoiled rich white girl because they get what they want when they want and they don't have to struggle. Finances taken care of, nice clothes in the closet.
I don't feel that there's anything mannish about me except maybe what I might have between me down there.
But her wish is for the big operation to make herself complete. Venus started doing shows at 13 and 14 behind her parents' backs. She didn't want to embarrass them when she got caught, so she moved away to New York. She did escort work, claiming her success was for being so petite and tiny. The blonde hair, the light skin, the green eyes. Most of the drag queens in the balls around this time, 90% of them were hustlers. She shares a story about this one date she had with a guy, and he felt between her legs and practically just started flipping out on her, saying that she was trying to give him AIDS and throwing the F word around, just threatening her. Venus had grabbed her bag and jumped out the window. It's heartbreaking. Jenny asks Venus what she wants, and she says the following: I want a car. I want to be with the man I love. I want a nice home away from New York. Maybe in Florida, somewhere far where no one knows me. I want my sex change. I want to get married in church, in white. I want to be a complete woman, a professional model behind cameras in the high fashion world.
I want this. This is what I want. And I'm gonna go for it.
The grandfather of Vogue. Willie is the mother of the House of Ninja. In his words, ninjas hit hard. They hit fast like invisible assassins. And that's what the house represents. They come out to assassinate. Willie is definitely the most successful out of everybody in the film. He was a choreographer. He did runways. He did music videos. He was a modeling coach. He taught voguing through Europe and Japan. And he also had this very androgynous appearance, very mesmerizing with the movements, just talented, a talented soul. Octavia Saint Laurent. Her narrative surrounds her wish to be a star on TV or in the movies, something, okay? She wants to be a somebody, wealthy, and if not wealthy, comfortable. The balls were the gateway for her to become who she truly felt she was. It was never a game. This is really who she is. And by 1988, Octavia says she fully hopes to become a full-fledged woman of the United States. In her bedroom, she's got posters of models slapped around her walls, and she talks about how she idolizes being up there with Paulina. And if she could just be on those covers, standing next to her, she would be the happiest person in the world, knowing that she can compare to greatness. Octavia wants people to look at her and say, there's the model Octavia. There's the actress Octavia. There's Miss Supermodel of the World Octavia. And she's quite vocal about how she doesn't want to end up an old drag queen with nothing going for her but trying to win a grand prize at a ball. She's also got one of the more memorable, alongside Dorian, quotes in this movie. If you know this little song called WTP, which stands for Work This by Tiana Taylor. Near the end of the song, she samples a little piece from Octavia and Venus's interviews. While laying in her bed, Octavia says, I believe that there's a big future out there with a lot of beautiful things, a lot of handsome men, a lot of luxury.
I want so much more. I want my name to be a household product.
Only briefly by the beach, we meet two dolls, Brooke on the left and Carmen on the right. Brooke tells us how she's had her nose reconstructed, cheekbones risen, chin implant, breast implants, and the most important, a sex change operation. She says the part of her life that was a secret is now closed.
And I'm as free as the wind that's blowing on this beach. Except that voice is still there.
And we don't really get to know Carmen that much. I don't even think she has another scene in here. So what is a ball? What's all these balls we talking about? A ball is when gay people and gay men gather under one roof and decide to have a competition among themselves. You go to a ball, you win a trophy, and now everybody wants to know you. Think of it as status. It's a symbol. The fantasy of being on a runway as a model. A lot of the kids in these balls barely have jack shit. You know, some of them don't even eat and come to balls starving. And some sleep on the pier with no home to go to, but they'll go out and they'll steal something, get dressed up, and come to a ball for that one night and live the fantasy. The children, which is a term that they call the gays, say that what basketball would be to society for entertainment is what a ball is for the gays. Ball is their world, and they describe it as being as close to fame and fortune as they can get. Whatever you want to be, you just be. You have a chance to display your arrogance, your seductiveness, your beauty, your wit, your charm, your knowledge. You come there and do or be anything, and you won't be questioned.
Give her what she wants. She bring it to you every ball. Why y'all gagging so?
Why y'all gagging so? She bring it to you every ball. Pepper tells us that when she first started going to these balls, it was all about everybody wanting to look like a Las Vegas showgirl. Back pieces, tail pieces, feathers, beads. But as the 70s rolled around, things started changing, and it started coming down to just wanting to look like a gorgeous movie star like Marilyn Monroe, Elizabeth Taylor. But now in the late 80s, they've gone from that to trying to look like models like Iman, Christy Brinkley, and Maud Adams. And not everybody can be a Las Vegas showgirl, right? So they invented categories. There was more involvement. Whether you have a nice body, you're very fashionable, you're very pretty, or you're very real looking, there's always something there for everyone. And that's what keeps them all coming back. Upcoming Pretty Girl 1986, high fashion winter sportswear, luscious bodies, schoolboy, schoolgirl realness, town and country, executive realness, butch queen, first time in a drag at a ball rhinestone, high fashion evening wear. These are just a few of the categories that we see brought up in the film, and Dorian is the one to really explain the concept of these. She says, in real life, you can't get an executive job unless you have the educational background and the opportunity. And the fact that you aren't an executive is merely because of the social standing of life. Black people have a hard time getting anywhere, and those that do are usually straight. But in the ballroom, you can be anything you want. You're not really an executive, but you're looking like one. And you're showing the street world that I can be an executive if I had the opportunity.
Shantae, Shantae. Shantae, Shantae, Shantae. Thin, trim, model, opulence. You own everything.
Who the hell was it on Drag Race who was quoting that? And they didn't say opulence, they said opulence. You I think it was Mercedes.
Opulence. You earn everything. Opulence. You earn opulence. You own everything. Opulence. You own everything.
While we don't learn an entire dictionary or glossary, well, you could say this is a tiny glossary of slang terms, we do cover the main ones. I've got to say, they've definitely stood the test of time. Like, you know, I would say they've evolved along with words that we use in this community, like slay, period, ate, snatched, tea, right? Legendary is the first brought up, and the children say that being legendary is equivalent to winning an Oscar. It's a title. All these musicians, actors, public figures we love, it slips out naturally when we call them legends and when they've proven themselves within their line of work. It's brought up how when you're a man and a woman, you can do anything you want. You could almost have sex on the streets if you wanted to. And the most somebody would say is, hey, get a hump for me. And yet, when you're gay, you monitor everything that you do. You monitor how you look, how you dress, how you talk, how you act. Therefore, realness was created to be able to blend. We know this term. We've all heard it. You know, people be like, I'm giving bohemian realness. At the beginning of the video, I tried to give you, you know, wee baguette realness, right? Ariane half up, half down. Real word.
I got my half up, half down. Did it give Ariane? Did I give Arianka or no?
If you can pass the untrained eye or even the trained eye and not give away the fact that you're gay, that's when it's realness. A house is a family. For a lot of children who don't have families, a gay street gang. Put it like this, where a street gang gets its reward from street fights, a gay house street fights at the balls, and they fight by walking in these categories. The houses began because people wanted a name. The people the houses are named after were ball walkers who became known for winning trophies. Venus was discovered by the extravaganzas and was told if she wanted to be part of the family, she had to walk a ball and snatch a trophy. But it didn't work like that for her. She just became an extravaganza. We call this privilege. Hector Extravaganza started the house and passed away in '85. He was the first gay man Venus had ever met. He took Venus to the village at 15, threw her a party, there was cake, lots of drag queens. It all really opened up the world to her young eyes. We also meet the current mother of the House of Extravaganza, Angie. When there's balls happening, she's running around doing this person's hair, this person's makeup, helping and giving advice for shoes and accessories. Angie ran away from home at the age of 14 and learned how to survive in the streets. In Pepper's words, however, the House of La Beja reigns over all of them. The most popular, the most members. New York City is wrapped up in being La Beja. Plagued onto it, like plagued onto it. This was the first one that came to my mind where I was like just a direct snatch and grab from back then, like, and we still use that a lot to this day. And hey, look, I'm gonna say this too. There's a lot. There's There's a lot of you little children who don't want to hear this, but I'm gonna tell you anyways. And you can argue with the wall. I don't care. All these little phrases that all of y'all say now, that all came from Black and Latin people in the ballroom culture. The black gays, the black girls, the black tea girl. Yeah, the black tea girl. Yup. Yeah. The balls were known to get very picky. It's like a battle, war. Fights break out at times. There's a lot of emotion. Judges nitpick outfits, just like an Olympic would try to disqualify or find any reason they could if there's one small slip up with an athlete. And these little flaws are something called shade. Throwing shade, we know this term. Hit them below the belt. Try to get them anywhere you can. Dorian tells us shade comes from reading, but reading came first. Reading is the real art form of insults.
What is wrong with you, Pedro? Are you going through it? You're going through some kind of psychological change in your life? Touch this skin, darling. Touch this skin, honey. Touch all of this skin.
Touch this skin, darling. Oh my God. She said, you can't take it. You can't take it. Dorian says if you get in a smart crack, everyone laughs and kikis because you found a flaw and you exaggerated it, then you've got a good read going. But she also notes how if it's happening between the straight world and the gay world, then it's not reading. It's just, y'all just throwing slurs and insults at each other, which yeah, it's more so just like a playfulness within the community. Reading became a more developed form where it became shade. And shade is,
I don't tell you you're ugly, but I don't have to tell you because you know you're ugly.
Willie describes voguing as taking a knife and cutting each other up, but in dance form. Voguing came from shade because it was a dance that two people did because they didn't like each other. So instead of fighting, you would dance it out on the dance floor, and whoever did the better move was throwing the best shade. The name was taken from the popular magazine Vogue because the dances are also the same as the poses inside the magazine. And just like breakdancing, the dance takes from the hieroglyphics of ancient Egypt, but it also takes from some forms of gymnastics. They strive both for perfect lines in the body, awkward positions, but it goes one step further, Willie says. And it's starting to make a name for itself, but Miss Mother Ninja wants it to be known worldwide, and he wants to be on top when it hits. He doesn't only want to take Vogue to Paris is Burning, but the real Paris. And with the house name being Ninja, Willie would like to take his house and go to Japan and just really let loose and have them accepted over there.
I want to be a big star, known every corner of the world, maybe as a choreographer, famous dancer, a singer, all of them.
The main cast members were invited to the Joan Rivers show shortly after the film's release. It was a 40-minute spot where they talk about the feature, they talk about themselves. Joan was voguing, they pulled members from the audience to walk in the categories they picked. And something that really just took me, I was a little taken back, was Joan had asked Dorian and Pepper LaBeija what their pronouns were.
On my immediate left is Dorian Corey, he or she, which would you prefer?
Whichever.
All right.
Fine.
In 1991, I mean, hats off to her for being so supportive of this community and not bringing them on and making a mockery or making a joke out of them, but instead bringing them on to understand and give them a larger platform. The main cast comes on, though Venus is missing because in one of the last moments of the film, we find out by house mother Angie, Venus was murdered, found strangled under a mattress in a sleazy hotel. They still haven't found the killer, and honestly, they probably never will. It's so sad. I think, during the filming, she was 22, and I think when it happened, she was 23. But yeah, heartbreaking, and it's just another reminder of the harsh realities of being trans in this world. Speaking of Angie Extravaganza, she was diagnosed with AIDS and cancer 1 year after the release of the film, and died 2 more years later at the age of 28. The most notable thing that people bring up whenever they see Dorian Corey is this closet thing. Yes, I know, I roll. I know some of y'all mad right now, but I have to bring it up, okay? If you don't know, in 1993, 3 years after the release, a drag performer by the name of Lois Taylor and 2 other men went inside Dorian's apartment to look for Halloween costumes, and Lois was also Dorian's caretaker in her final days. Dorian also died from AIDS. It's like, oh my god, everybody, it's so anyways, she had passed away 2 months before what I'm about to tell you happened. They were digging through all of her stuff before encountering a closet which had a green plaid bag deep inside. Lois had to get a pair of scissors that cut it open, and she found a mummified body that was half covered. The brown skin was now yellow and purple. It had a bullet in the head. Some speculate it was a lover, some speculate it was an intruder, but once again, we'll never know. And speaking of Miss Corey, the documentary ends with her, and like I said, she's, half of the time she's doing her makeup in the mirror, and she talks about how she always had dreams of being a big star, but as time went on, she started aiming lower. She says, "You still might make an impression. Everybody wants to leave something behind them, some impression, some mark upon the world, and then you think you left a mark on the world if you just get through it, and maybe a few people remember your name, then you left a mark."
You don't have to bend the whole world. I think it's better to just enjoy it. Pay your dues and enjoy it. If you shoot an arrow and it goes real high, hooray for you.
Pepper LaBeija went on being a drag mother, taking in children, reigning in New York with her 200 plus trophies, and unfortunately passed away from type 2 diabetes sometime in 2003. As I briefly mentioned, Willie Ninja was the most successful of them all, doing music videos, traveling through Europe, teaching classes. He was the big inspiration behind Madonna's Vogue. But unfortunately, he succumbed to heart failure due to AIDS in 2006. Octavia was diagnosed with HIV and spent the rest of her life teaching others about AIDS, drug use, and prostitution to make ends meet, and she passed away from cancer in 2009 at the age of 45. Although this film is highly praised by cult fans and queers, just like much art and media, the receptions are never equal. There are quite a lot of people who neglect this film because of the politics of gays. And not like gays, but gaze with your eyes, right? But I'm talking about Jenny Livingston being a white lesbian documenting a Black and Latino subculture. It's complicated, right? Jenny made something timeless, yet the ball community wasn't really compensated or protected. Some have called her the classic case of the white spectator, her absence of presence in the film, even though we hear her very briefly in a few scenes asking a question or two. But to me, I don't see a problem with her not being in it because it's not about her. But I do understand the lens of people saying that this is the minority world that's being directed and edited by somebody with the white experience. It's tricky. The film won a prize at Sundance, got a distribution deal with Miramax, and land raves from the New York Times, which were seen as signs to some that this was meant to be ingested by white audiences. Pepper said in 1993 she didn't feel that it exploited them, though she did feel betrayed. When all the queens were minding their business, living their fantasy at the balls, Jenny just swooped in and threw papers at them. They didn't read them because they wanted the attention, of course. They loved being filmed, and when they did all the interviews, they were all given a few $100s, but Jenny told them that when the film came out, they would be alright. She said that there would be more coming. The film made $4 million and only $55,000 was split between 13 recurring cast members. So that's just a little over 4.2K. Yikes.
But then I started to understand what was going on.
Ball culture is both a critique and a love letter to the fantasy of America. It's like the ballroom knows the dream is rigid, but it still plays along, like some queer resilience. The stolen clothing that was made, it's all empowerment, defiance, gender play. Because performing realness isn't actually about looking real, but a dress-up, survival for these groups in a world that denies them access to real power. It's like realness becomes its own armor. All these queens are in on the lie. The performance blurs between strategy and escape. But when fantasy becomes the only safe place, what happens to the self? The tension between being seen and being safe in this country for Black and brown folk is severe, and the two are rarely allowed to coexist. We can watch this film and celebrate its joy, but lying underneath is that thing lingering. That darkness, and how most of the cast died from AIDS, cancer, violence, systematic neglect, the list goes on. What an exciting and grimy time to be alive in the 80s. Even though I love the films, the music, the media, the clothes, I don't know if I would have, I'm saying, I don't know, I can do it. You can do anything you set your mind to, children, okay? But what I'm trying to say is, I don't know if I would want to deal with that whole epidemic happening. But I guess I tend to view the 80s more so through the lens of how everything was so connected back then. You know, when you left the house, your parents weren't really 100% sure that you was coming back. But it was wild. It was dangerous. If you wanted to call somebody, you had to find a payphone. If you wanted to hang out with somebody, you had to really go out of the way to see somebody. Like you just, I don't know. Effort, which is something that nobody has anymore. You had to put in effort before your little bleep blop bloops came in. The hell? Why am I talking like I was alive during that? Well, I could have been in another form, or, you know, reincarnation. Yeah, I think technology is great. I mean, how amazing is it that we can FaceTime somebody who is across the world? Are you kidding? There's a lot of pros, but the cons, woo, AI is getting scary, huh? It's getting scary. Have y'all seen that thing? What is that new AI joint that just came out where they can create these realistic videos? I mean, you can kind of tell with a lot of them because they look just a little bit too polished, but still, like, that is terrifying. Paris is Burning gave some generations of queer people a mirror. For many, this was the first time they saw themselves. Not sanitized, not whitewashed, not played for laughs, but alive. Messy, brilliant, flawed, and fabulous. It reminded the world that these lives mattered, even when the world was trying to pretend they didn't. And we can see that today with your man, who shall not be named, up in the White House, trying to roll back, reverse Uno card every damn law that protects marginalized people. Hell, I mean, damn, you know, at the end of the day, I think that all anybody wants to do is survive. Rent is going up. These gas prices are ridiculous. These grocery prices are ridiculous. Why are my fruit snacks going up? We just want fair taxes, affordable health care. But no. Let's focus on removing DEI protections, dismantling gender studies, stripping women of their rights. Yeah, let's focus on that, yo. Let's focus on that. Stripping women, stripping the stripping my trans girls and my trans boys. God damn it. Got me fucked up in here. Talk about priorities ran through. I'm just focused on the wrong shit. People can barely afford medication, and these bozos are arguing over identity and inclusion. This is a joke. No, it's not a joke. It's a jark. Like, this is not a joke. This is a jark. But I mean, not only is it a joke, but it's misdirected and it's dangerous, right? I just say we all get on a spaceship and just go to another planet. This documentary may be decades old, but the fire it captured is still burning, and the world endlessly trying to snuff it out. But as long as there's one person who dares to walk, speak, or simply exist in their truth, we're not done yet. The children didn't ask for the spotlight, but they took it with open arms. And whether the world applauded or not, the legacy of Paris is Burning continues walking on. Category closed. What do you think about Paris is Burning? What are some of your favorite quotes, some of your favorite moments, outtakes? Drop me a comment below. If you're new here and you enjoyed this video, consider giving me a like. It helps me out a lot, please. And subscribe, turn on that bell notification so you know whenever I post a new video. Like, I know you want to. Stop playing. In the meantime, I love you. Okay. I hope you're safe. And I hope you're being yourself. Please continue to take care of your mind, take care of your body, and take care of your spirit.